Did you call bank? I call game.
What's good, podcast world, and welcome back to another installment of Charge It to Your Game. I'm your host, Rome. Got Z. What's up, Z?
Welcome everybody to another edition.
Welcome everybody. Hey, so we're gonna be a little shorthanded today. Well, I don't know if we're gonna be shorthanded. Me and Z like to talk, but anyway, our guy Jay is he's out of town. It's currently Easter weekend. He has some things he has to wrap up. But anyway, so we're going to hop right into it and chat a little bit about, as we always do, a little NFL. Today we're going to discuss the AFC East, consisting of the Jets, Patriots, Dolphins, and those teams in that division. Then we're also going to chat a little NBA action with you, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Denver Nuggets, their success stories. They've been a major player this season. And then Milwaukee Bucks, my betting team, man. If you listen to last show, I've been telling you guys, hop on the Bucks. The Bucks money line, Bucks spread, they are hot. They are covering. They're winning money. I'm winning money. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, great call on that game versus Portland. Great call.
Yeah, man. I mean, they covered the money line and the spread. So, I mean, why not? And then, we'll close the show out with bets, as always. But, all right, Z, man, let's start off with a little bit of AFC East football action, man. So I guess first let's just chat about what's going on with the division with the Patriots. So Patriots, they're an interesting story, right? So ended up, we all know the story. They ended up letting Tom go. Tom goes to Tampa. Tom wins the Super Bowl. They were stuck with Cam Newton. They were a little short-handed on the offensive side. Some people denied, didn't want to play this season due to COVID. They did have some players, some of their big guys play with. I think it was Gilmore. He played. But overall, they just didn't have a successful season, right? They didn't have any offensive weapons. Cam didn't really have anybody to throw the ball to. Their offensive line didn't play very well. They didn't have a strong running game. And the defense was solid. That was one of the bright spots. But they just didn't have a pass rush. But some of their new additions, they went wild in free agency, man, and just bringing in new talent. Bill Belichick is sick of losing, and you can tell from the new signings that he's had. So we'll get started. So Matt Judon, an edge rusher from the Baltimore Ravens, solid guy. He's 29 years old, be 30, I guess next season. Signed him in free agency. They signed, they traded for Trent Brown, actually Jay's team, right? He used to play for the Patriots. He's going back to New England to join Bill again. So,
just like New England does. Gets a late round draft pick, makes him a Pro Bowler. He gets I think he signed a $60 million deal with the Raiders.
Yep, he did. He got his money.
And then comes back to the Patriots.
Yep, that's how you do it, because New England, they ain't going to pay you. You know what I mean? So that's just how he rolls. But they're spending a little bit of money this year. So they signed him. They got Kyle Van Noy, looks like, back from the Dolphins. They got Hunter Henry at tight end. And if you know anything about Patriot football, they've always been tight end heavy with Aaron Hernandez and then Gronk. And now they're trying to do it again with Hunter Henry and what's the other tight end that they signed from? Was it Tennessee?
Yeah, Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith.
I mean, they got the top two tight ends in the market.
They did.
Went to New England. They gave Smith $50 million, and they gave Hunter Henry $3 million, 3 years, $37.5 million.
Right.
So yeah, they spent. They're building, and then of course they signed back Cam on a 1-year deal. And so the idea is to make things easy on Cam. So Cam's been successful when he's had a really good tight end since he's had some accuracy problems down the field. So the tight end, throwing to the tight ends and backs has always been key to his success. And so that's two solid additions, two great pass catching tight ends
Yep.
two large, big targets for him to attack, and that should improve their offense.
Right. Yeah, I think the Patriots are an interesting story this season, man. I think, like I said, Bill's tired of losing. You know, I mean, and that's after one season, as you can see. So with these additions, I like what they did on the offensive side, surrounding Cam, like you said, Z, with some offensive talent at the tight end positions. And if you can remember, like I was saying earlier, I mean, all those really solid Patriots team that had, you know, really good tight end play. You know what I mean? They had what Benjamin Watson. He was a solid tight end for him. And then they had the other guys. They had Aaron Hernandez and Gronk. And for a lot of people that don't remember,
Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, Martellus Bennett. There you go. But for a lot of people during the era with Aaron Hernandez and Gronk, a lot of people don't remember Aaron Hernandez was the number one tight end over Gronk. So Gronk was the second tight end. A lot of people don't remember that. Like, Aaron Hernandez was probably one of the top 4 or 5 tight ends in the league at that time. You know, let him help lead him to the Super Bowl and got the big contract from Bill, and that was a big thing. But yeah, with these two guys, they're sort of kind of trying to do that again, bringing in, you know, allowing them to work the middle of the field. I think that's the biggest thing. So similar to,
they also re-signed James White, so the back out of the backfield on third down, another pass catching option for Cam. So they're giving Cam all the weapons he needs. I mean, they signed Nelson Aguilar from the Raiders, another receiver, speed receiver. They signed Kendrick Bourne, another receiver. So they are giving Cam no excuses. I mean, they are spending money and then also making up for bad drafting. So they made a lot of mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes.
Who are some of the guys they had? Who are some of the guys that they drafted last?
So N'Keal Harry was number one pick at receiver, and that has not worked out. And they have had a lot of misses, first round misses, and because of that, they've had to spend money in the free agent route to make up for the mistakes they've made in the draft. And they have spent. So yeah, Robert Kraft has spent his money this year. So I guess Bill, seeing Tom win the Super Bowl, get one up on him, motivated him to spend excessively to reposition themselves back in the run, at least to make the playoffs. And I mean, they're still going to have to battle the Dolphins and the Bills are still, in my opinion, the class of the division.
They are.
And so they're still going to have to compete with the Bills, because the Bills still bring Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
So and then I mean that's hard for New England. New England's taking a swing though. They're going to try to challenge Buffalo.
Yeah, they are. I agree. I think they're going to, like you said, they're going to try to challenge Buffalo again. They don't want to give up the division, and then the Jets, I mean, are there, and then I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, the Jets are there, but I mean, I think with New England, Cam he's a solid starter. I mean, like you said, you give him the weapons.
He was horrible last year. He
last year
throw the ball down the field. Especially when the weather got cold, and they did. I mean, their offense was horrible. I
think he's a solid starter for what they're trying to do, though. So I mean, with them being able to get a quarterback on a minimal deal, quarterbacks make, you know, big money in today's market, surrounding him with a ton of weapons, giving him some matchup problems with tight end, being able to work the middle of the field, sort of kind of like what we talked a little bit on our last show, what Lamar Jackson does with the Baltimore Ravens, having those two really good tight ends in Mark Andrews and Boyle. So I think they're trying to, you know, do what New England does. They work the middle of the field, the short passing game, don't turn the ball over, and then their defense is pretty solid, and everything like that. So I think, you know, it's pretty interesting. They're going to have a pretty interesting draft as well. I think they're in a pretty solid spot. I don't know if they're going to take a quarterback. They can take that. They're linking them to Mac Jones from Alabama. If he falls,
Mac Jones is moving up to top 5.
That's what I'm hearing.
The rumors.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing rumors of that too. So he might not even be there. I mean, they're linking him to a quarterback either way, though.
What
I'm seeing.
I read somewhere a lot of the negative talk on Justin Fields. The rumor is New England is the one spreading the rumors, hoping he drops down to New England.
Oh, okay.
Saying
all right, that makes sense.
He doesn't look to the third read, saying that 80% of the time he's always throwing to the first read on a play, which is technically what you're supposed to do. First guy's open, you're supposed to go to him.
Yeah.
But the rumor is a lot of those negative rumors on Justin Fields is coming out of New England, since their hope is he would drop down to them, to their pick.
Yeah, so I think I'm hearing a lot of that, but I'm seeing them being linked to a lot of QBs that might fall in the draft.
Linebacker, do they need a linebacker?
Yeah, they do need a linebacker. I'm also seeing receiver. I saw in one article that they're being linked to Jalen Waddle from Alabama. I don't know if he falls that far. But yeah, New England, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they got a lot of talent this year. They got a class act coaching staff with Bill Belichick and the Kraft, the owner. So they're gonna be an interesting story to see, how they play out down the road. So I guess moving on, let's talk a little bit about the Jets, man. So the Jets, man, I guess where do we start, man?
Will Sam Darnold come back?
Right. I think that's the biggest question. I think did they have the second overall pick in the draft?
The second overall pick, yes.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot. We're reading the articles, we're seeing on ESPN, all the major networks that they're being linked to the BYU quarterback, Zach Wilson. I think it's gonna happen. I think it's inevitable.
Conclusion. Zach Wilson is the one they love in New York.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. And when it does, where does Sam go? What happens? But as far as some of their new additions, they helped out a little bit. On offense and defense. So Carl Lawson was a defensive end from the Cincinnati Bengals. He's more of a speed rusher. They gave him 3 years, $45 million. They helped him out. Whoever the quarterback is going to be, more than likely Zach Wilson is on the outside with Corey Davis at wide receiver. Big, solid target, good hands, good speed. Former first-round pick, big body guy, rangy. So
hasn't lived up to the number 6 pick in the draft, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, his numbers, when you look at somebody like Claypool as a second-round pick with 1,200 yards, and you look at Corey Davis's numbers averaging 400 yards a season as the number 6 pick in the draft.
I know. Yeah. It's kind of tough when you compare him to Claypool. Like, Claypool's he's a beast. Like, he just makes plays down the field, and we always talk about him on the show. So Claypool is a monster. Corey Davis is a solid guy. He's come on strong these past 2 years when he got a nice
contract. 3 years, $37.5 million. Receivers weren't getting a lot of money this year, so he is one who got a nice contract.
Yeah, the Jets. Yeah, he's young with upside. He's only 26 years old, and like I said, in his defense, who was throwing on the ball when he was with? He had Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is complete trash. He's in Oakland now. He's a backup for a reason.
And then the offense is Derrick Henry reliant.
Yeah.
So they asked Tannehill not to lose the game.
Right. So they signed him, and then they got Sheldon Rankins out of New Orleans. So they're putting together a decent, a serviceable team of free agency. What's your overall opinion of the Jets and their moves so far and what they've done last season?
The key for them is quarterback. Giving up on Darnold so soon might be a mistake, I think. They could use that pick to get him another weapon. Because
I agree.
Starting over again with a rookie quarterback is just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And that sets a franchise back greatly. Yeah. And so that's a problem for the Jets.
Yeah. I think with the Jets, man, though, one of the reasons why they're going to have to take, and I'm rooting for Sam Darnold. I know he's been dealt a bad hand because he's had really historically no talent around him, no running game, no nothing. I don't even know who the 1,000-yard rusher is, or if they even have one.
The way it works in the league. So Joe Douglas, the GM, didn't draft Sam Darnold, so he's not married. Every GM wants their own quarterback,
right?
And so he wants to get his own guy, and so he's looking at Zach Wilson, and so if they brought back Sam Darnold, he's due for a new contract next year. So
Yep.
they don't want to give him that big contract. They'd rather reset with the quarterback on a rookie deal and then spend money everywhere else. I mean, the way the trend of the league has been going, you either have a top-end quarterback getting top-end money, or you have a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback on a rookie deal surrounded by high-paid players all around.
Exactly.
One or the other. So that's the formula.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to jump into. I mean, Sam, I understand the reason why they're getting rid of him or they're going to shop him, because he's going to be due big money. You know, he's coming to the end of his rookie deal. And do they want to pay? Do you want to pay Sam Darnold? I mean, they don't.
Or play the franchise tag game with him, which is going to cost him $30-40 million a year.
Right, and is Sam Darnold worth $30 or $40 million a year? Really? No. So, I mean, they'll draft Jack Wilson, and the Jets, I think they'll be better. They'll put out a better squad than what they have been these past few years. They brought in another outside threat in Keelan Cole from Jacksonville. He's a solid guy. You know what I mean? He's not a starter. He's more of a slot guy or a number 2 receiver. So you add that to the Jets. And
they signed Tevin Coleman. So to make up for the Le'Veon Bell mistake.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake. It was an untalkable one, too. Like, they gave him big money, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They gave him $50 million. And then cut him after 1 year. So he ended up making, 2 years worth of salary. So he made $24 million.
Right. So Le'Veon.
And they cut him, yeah.
Yeah, so they moved on from him. So, I mean, I guess there are brighter days in New York to come, but not right now. But we'll see how it shakes out, and once we move to the draft and these preseason games, and we'll see what happens. So let's move on and talk a little bit about Miami. Z, how are you feeling about Miami and what they've done so far? They got Miami, a ton of picks in the draft.
So they did make that big trade with San Francisco, and so they're loaded with 20 draft picks in the next 2 years.
Wow.
Within the top 3 rounds. So they're setting themselves up for the future. They basically committed to Tua. And so Tua's going to be their quarterback, and they're not moving on from Tua. And so all their pieces they've added, they did sign Jacoby Brissett as a backup. Again, the New England connection with the coach, since Jacoby came from New England. They signed Will Fuller as a deep threat, which will help. They signed Malcolm Brown, the running back from the Rams, solid running back to add to the backfield. So they need skill. So draft wise, either tight end or receiver has to be the play to continue to surround Tua with weapons, because right now their top receiver has got to be the new guy, Will Fuller. Mm-hmm. They really didn't have much in regards to top-end pass catchers with the Dolphins. And so I see them either going with a tight end or a wide receiver first round.
Yeah, I think more of the same. I think with the Dolphins, they're an interesting story, right? I mean, they had a good year last year. I mean, they just had a bad quarterback play. Like Tua was out there. He was his rookie season. You know, I mean, I can't fault the guy. He just if his first read wasn't open, he really just panicked. You know what I mean? That's what happens to a lot of these guys.
He's still coming back from injury. I mean, he had a major injury coming off of surgery from college.
Right.
And so a lot of it's a lot of, I think the second year off of the surgery, he'll get to feel more like himself, and they can see big differences. I mean, they might end up taking one of the Alabama receivers to pair with Tua. They might go with a Jamar Chase from LSU to pair with Tua. Really good options. I think either Alabama receiver or Chase from LSU could be an option. They just need weapons. They need speed. They need firepower on offense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, they need firepower on offense. They also need a running back. I know they signed Matt Breida with last year with hopes that he could really take them there and give them a solid running. It didn't work. So they brought in it Malcolm?
Malcolm Brown from the Rams.
Yeah.
Really a solid back. He'd been with Shanahan for a long time, since he was with Shanahan in Washington. And so he went from Washington, followed Shanahan to the Rams, and got a nice payday from Miami.
Yeah, and that's sometimes that's a lot of what happens. These guys take their backup running backs, their backup quarter. We see it in Washington where Ron Rivera takes his the backup quarterback out of Carolina and made him a starter, and then he got hurt. So a lot of these guys, if they have relationships with these guys, they'll bring them along for the ride. But yeah, so they let Matt Breida go. They brought in Smith.
I mean, when you look at it, so Adam Butler, the nose tackle from New England, went to Miami. Yep. Jacoby Brissett used to be in New England, went to Miami.
Yeah, it's all about familiarity, you know. Yeah. So it's like the lesser of the two. You're like, okay, I know he's not great, but I know what he can do, what he can actually do. I think one thing about the Dolphins, man, they're just interesting. I really love their defense. Their defense is smothering. They don't really need any new additions. They just need more offensive firepower. I like Will Fuller. If Will Fuller can stay healthy and stay on the field and not get suspended, he's a solid guy. Like we got suspended last year for, I forgot, was it PEDs or something like that.
PEDs, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if he stays on the field though, he's a solid guy. But is Tua going to be able to get him the ball? And is he going to be able to get to his second and third read? Like your first read's not open. This isn't college. This is in Alabama where you have all the best athletes and you got Nick Saban and all of these different things. But the offensive line has to help them out too. So I've seen the Dolphins being a link to a lot of these different guys. But I think for them, I think they want to bring in get them a buddy. And a buddy, I mean a receiver. So
because when you look at it from last year, so I mean Devontae Parker, decent receiver, but then on the other side of him, I mean they had Lynn Bowden, who was a quarterback at Kentucky, and was a rookie.
Had Albert Wilson. He was okay. He's nobody really, but
I mean they need weapons. I mean they signed Robert Foster, who was with Washington last year. He's
like a practice squad guy.
Yeah, from Alabama, so familiarity with Tua. Mm-hmm. But he was always the guy on the other side. So he was on the other side of Ridley, who was with the Falcons. And so when Calvin Ridley was getting all the plays, all the numbers and the scores, Foster was the blocking receiver on the other side.
Wow. Little Foster, the blocking receiver. Jesus, he's tiny too.
Yeah, so that's... But yeah, we shall see. Their defense is solid. I mean, defense is very solid. And then it's all going to come down to Tua. I mean, how Tua progresses, how he improves. That's going to be the key for Miami, really.
Yeah, how Tua progresses. I mean, they ended up letting his backup go, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And, I mean, he was just always there. I would just see games and watch games and hear about games where Tua would start but wouldn't finish. They would pull him and yank him for Fitz.
They could do the same thing with Jacoby Brissett.
Come on, this is Jacoby Brissett. I don't want to bash the guy.
He's got a Super Bowl ring with New England.
Oh, stop it! Knock it off.
Familiarity with the coaching staff. The whole coaching staff came from New England in Miami.
It did,
and so that's why. And then last year, he was doing the quarterback sneaks for Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So whenever it was a quarterback run, Brissett would come in the game and run it, and they couldn't stop it. The world knew that every time he comes in the game, they're either going to do an RPO or they're going to do the quarterback sneak. But, yeah, it was effective.
Yeah, it was. He's a big dude. And Jacoby Brissett, he's a big dude, big wide body, big frame. So he would get right in there. It's just like having the defensive end at quarterback and running QB sneak. But, yeah, I mean, I think with the Dolphins, they got a chance, man. I mean, they were right there. They could have made playoffs, but it just didn't quite happen. So I think with them being able to draft well, them getting a receiver, I'd seen them being linked a lot to Devontae Smith from Alabama. Me personally, I'm hoping to get some offensive line help. But yeah, either Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase out of LSU at 6, I think should be serviceable enough for them.
Yeah, that should work. Just continue to be patient with Tua, and then develop the offense, and they'll be fine. The run the ball, play good defense, and Miami should be in contention.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I think still the class of the division has got to be Buffalo again, because Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Now they've got experience. They've got a quarterback. They've got an outstanding defense. They signed Emmanuel Sanders to put on the other side of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's what. Let's just chat about Buffalo, man. So, like you said, Buffalo, they now have experience. Buffalo is here. What they lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs. It was a close game. Well, not even a close game. The Chiefs sort of kind of, boat raced them, really. But I mean, at least they got some type of experience and know what it's
Buffalo,
like.
They jumped on them early, and then the Chiefs do what the Chiefs do.
Yeah, because I mean, they did that the year before. Was it Tennessee? Was it Tennessee or some other team when they were playing? Jumped out to that the Texans, that big huge early lead, and they just came back and smoked them. But yeah, I like what they did. So they brought in veteran leadership. They saw that once they got to the AFC Championship, they needed veteran leadership. They went out and got a receiver, Emmanuel Sanders from the Saints, who's a really solid receiver. He's a great route runner. He makes the right plays. He knows how to sit down and zone coverage. Knows how to beat man. They signed Bobby Hart, the right tackle from the Bengals. I don't know if he's going to start, but he could be a backup.
Yeah, good depth.
Yeah.
Experienced depth.
Yeah, and then they also brought in another experienced dude, Jacob Hollister, tight end from Seattle. And then Matt Breida, we just talked about the Miami Dolphins just a minute ago. Matt Breida is now in the Buffalo Bills. So I guess how you feel about Buffalo?
They got him to help on special teams. So yeah, Breida will help on. They had a good punt return team, but they struggled with kick return. Breida will slide right in that kickoff return spot, and he's going to solidify it because he's really good.
Right. Yeah, I like what Buffalo's doing. I mean, I like Buffalo, period. I mean, I think they have a solid coaching staff and a solid squad. You got Josh Allen, who really just came up, this past year. He just really came on strong and just showed everybody what he could do. He was throwing the ball down the field, left and right, and this is without a featured back in their offensive backfield. They weren't running the ball a ton, so people knew what they were doing, but he was just still lighting these guys up. They played a lot of good, talented teams and everything, and so their defense is just really, really solid. I mean, they got exposed a little bit against the Chiefs, but I mean, who doesn't? You know what I mean? I mean, Buffalo's going to be a major player. I think this is the year with them bringing these veterans. I'm going to go on record and say I think Buffalo makes it again to the AFC Championship. I don't know if they're going to win. Kansas City might be there again, but if they do meet Kansas City again, I think after watching that Bucks game and seeing what the Bucks did to Kansas City, I think Buffalo can do something similar. With some of their new additions, just veteran leadership, and just making the right plays.
The
and
key
slowing
is
the game down.
How they match up against New England, how New England looks, because they've had Buffalo's number for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so they had 1 year where Buffalo was able to beat the Patriots. Last year, Patriots are reloading. So that's going to be a challenge. And then Miami is going to be a tough challenger for them as well.
Right.
Jets are still going to be the Jets. So, so it won't be as easy as last year.
Yeah.
Because there'll be training camps and more of a regular season, preparation for the season. So that should make a difference for the other teams, especially for Tua. He never had an off season. He never had a OTAs. He never had a preseason.
You're right. Yeah.
And so he's going to have a full normal prep for the season without even having going through rehab like he did last year. So Miami could be interesting as well.
Right, they could. And I think with Buffalo, they don't really have a ton of holes to fill. I'm seeing them being a link to a few guys in the draft. So I've seen them linked to Travis Etienne, the running back from Clemson, possibly, or even the cornerback from Northwestern. Looks like it's Greg Newsome. He's a really good cornerback. He's kind of big. He's solid. He makes things happen on the field. So Buffalo's going to be pretty interesting. See how they, coming off being in the AFC Championship and just not quite closing the show. I think they make it. I think they get to the bowl this year. But I like these bringing in these veteran guys to help make that next step. I guess moving on. That was a good segment, man. Let's chat a little bit NBA, man. So I guess Z, I know we talked a little bit about off the air about the Denver Nuggets, man. I mean, Denver, they got some guys, man. I didn't really like their squad last year. I knew they were gonna lose to LA in the Western Conference Finals just because they just didn't have enough. But this year, I don't know, man. They brought in some guys. How you feeling about Denver this year?
They have made improvements to their team. Denver is going to be, since the All-Star break, they're undefeated. They haven't lost. So
wow.
The addition of Aaron Gordon, the addition of JaVale McGee, they've made some great additions, and especially impactful additions, because having Gordon right next to Joker is going to be huge. And then when you project into the playoffs, you'll be able to play Gordon on defense on LeBron. So you have at least a big body to...
Right. Him and Michael Porter Jr. too.
Yeah, to play LeBron. So that... Denver is a team, they have depth, they have shooting. Their bench is a little... I don't want to say suspect, but they're questionable. And so that's going to be the key, is how their bench progresses. But they've definitely improved. They've made improvements, because you have Joker, whose passing ability,
an MVP candidate.
He opens up the floor for the whole team, and they surrounded him with shooters. Jamal Murray is a legitimate star, running the point for them. Now you have Gordon running the floor, and then Michael Porter Jr. is just a solid all around player. And
he is.
So
he's young too.
Denver's gonna put themselves right in the heart of competing in the West.
I think so too. I think, like I said, one of my biggest things last year, I was actually shocked that they beat the Clippers last year in the bubble. But what didn't happen last year, that wasn't shocking, right? So
Jamal Murray put on his Superman cape.
He did, literally. Last year, I knew Jamal Murray was nice, but I didn't know he was like that. I'm like, jeez, he's like that? You know what I mean? He just lit them up. They beat the Clippers and then went on to the Western Conference Finals and played LA. And LA was just too much. Their defense is just smothering, and they got AD and LeBron, and that's what happened last year. But this year, the Denver Nuggets got a chance. They fell back a little bit. They started off pretty solid. Like you said, they got Joker, who's a MVP candidate. They got Jamal Murray.
They're currently in 5th place. They are on a hot streak, won 4 straight since the All-Star break. And so, if you look at their last 10, 8-2 in the last 10. Yeah. So Denver's making a move.
Yeah, they're making a move, and I think it's, like I said, it's due to those moves, with them making those trades, and then after the All-Star break, regrouping, and we're like, hey guys, we got to really make that push. But they got a solid squad. They got the Joker, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., who's a really good all-around player and a wing player. He can shoot, he can play defense. He's big.
The upcoming schedule is favorable for them as well. You're going to be seeing a lot of the Pistons. They play the Magic. They play the Warriors. They play the Rockets 3 times.
They should bowl over all of those teams, yeah.
Yeah, so schedule is very favorable to Denver.
Yeah, I like Denver. I think it's the additions of Aaron Gordon and JaVale McGee. Aaron Gordon runs the floor. He rebounds pretty well. He's a big dude. You can play him at the 4, the 3, and he's a rotational player as well. And then they got Millsap, who's a decent guy. He's been I didn't even know Millsap was still playing, but he's still doing all right out there. And then you got Gary Harris, who's a serviceable guy, and Will Barton.
So Gary Harris was part of the trade, so he's gone.
Oh, okay.
So he was part of the Gordon trade.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that. I forgot about that. But, overall, Denver's a solid squad. I'm looking forward to seeing how, what's going to happen in this Western Conference, especially with the issues that they're having in L.A. with Bron being out and AD being out. So it's it's just like,
So Lakers have dropped to 4th place with Denver right on their heels.
there you go. See, who's first in the West right now?
Still the Jazz. So Jazz
Still Utah, yeah.
Utah has a three game lead over the Suns.
Yeah. So, Utah is just hot right now. But, we're looking forward to seeing how the Nuggets shake. I like the Joker. He's a, MVP candidate. We'll see what happens. And then
Jazz have won their last 8. So,
wow. They just stay hot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, shoot, let's talk and chat a little bit about the Milwaukee Bucks, man. Like I said, I'm a huge Bucks betting fan. I like the Bucks. If you if you hear, you'll start to hear it, throughout the shows you start going along. A lot of my NBA bets consist of the Bucks, the Nets, teams like, I don't bet on bad basketball teams. You know what I mean? Clippers, teams like that, just because I don't like losing money. But the Bucks, like I said, they're one of my betting teams, but I'm starting to like them in general. They play hard every night. You got Giannis, who's a perennial MVP candidate, and defensive. He plays really solid defense. He's working on his shot now. He's becoming a better free throw shooter. And then he's always aggressive. He doesn't really take nights off. That's one thing I like about Giannis. And I really respect about him is because he always comes out to play each and every night. He's not out due to rest like LeBron and these guys. Go ahead.
Come playoff time. It's going to be Sixers, Nets, and Bucks. Mm-hmm. So how do you see the Bucks faring against the top 2 teams, Sixers or the Nets?
So it just depends for me. It's tough, man. I think the Nets are there. I think the Nets make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Because if things remain the way they are in the standings, first round is going to be Bucks and Heat. And so, in the first round, they got Jimmy Butler, Victor Oladipo.
I think they got enough for them.
Bam Adebayo, and then the shooters surrounding them. So that's not an easy first round matchup.
Yeah, it's not an easy first round. What are they? They're ranked what? 3? They're 3 in the East.
They're Bucks are 3, Heat are 6.
Yeah, so I think if that comes to fruition, I think the Bucks got enough of that, and I think the new addition of PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is a really great defensive player. He rebounds well. He steps in the corner, hits the 3-point shot, takes charges. He guards all 5 positions.
So he will match up with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. So I think they got him there. Now the only thing where they can't do it, and nobody can find a solution for it, is my boy Embiid. Like, he's just on the block. You can't guard him. You know what I mean? The only time you're going to beat the Sixers is if Embiid falls back and he steps up to that 3-point line.
His health is going to be key.
Yeah.
Sixers have done well maintaining. They're still in second place. Won 7 out of the last 10 without Embiid. So they've won 7 games without Embiid playing, which is impressive.
Yeah. Milwaukee's... they just need Middleton to step up, man. Chris Middleton, he just really has to step up. There's some games where I just see he's scoring like 12 points, 14 points. No, you gotta give him more. You gotta be a consistent 20-point a game scorer. Drew is solid. Drew is not a 20-point per game scorer though. He's more like a 17 to 14.
It's so wild because as we're looking at it, it's gonna come down to the same thing as last year. It's gonna be just like the bowl. Miami, the low-seeded team, is going to be going against Milwaukee again.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee had problems with Hero and all the shooters from Miami. And so that they come back. They still have their shooters, but then they add Victor Oladipo, a guy who can get his own bucket at the end of the game as well.
Right.
And so that's just another option that the Heat have. That's going to give, I think it's going to give the Bucks some problems.
Right. So I think Milwaukee, like I said, my biggest thing just boils down. There's no more Giannis can do. There's literally no more the guy can do. He's done everything. He rebounds, he assists, he shoots free throws. He's got him shooting threes. Chris Middleton, he really has to come on and be that 20-point a game scorer, win, lose, or draw. Drew Holiday, he has some off nights. I know he's new to the team. He's still trying to find his role. DiVincenzo, he has to make more buckets and play a little bit more better defense and man. I've seen him get lost on some backdoor action.
Holiday's going to be key because that's what they were missing last year was a strong point guard. I mean, Goran Dragic, of all players, controlled that series. I mean, He really controlled that series.
He did. He's a crafty veteran, though, Goran Dragic is.
So now, with the Bucks coming back with actually having a Jrue Holiday as a solid point guard, and then having DiVincenzo play off the ball is going to be good. Now, a sneaky signing they had last week, they signed Jeff Teague as a backup point guard for them.
Uh-huh.
And so it went under the radar. Nobody paid attention to it. But come playoff time, if anything happens with foul trouble with Holiday or anything happens, they have a veteran presence, former All-Star in Jeff Teague as a backup point who could make a difference.
Right. Okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, like, 'cause I'm rooting for Milwaukee, but I don't know, man. I mean, I just don't. I mean, you got the Nets. Like I said, I hate keep talking about the Nets on every basketball show, but they're just so amazing. They're just too so talented. So you got the Nets, and then you got Philly, and then you got Milwaukee. Now, those are the big three in the East, and it's probably going to be out of those three.
The young teams. I wish LaMelo didn't get hurt because the Hornets could have been a team. They just don't have enough. They could have been a team to give some people problems with LaMelo because he could take over a game.
Right.
But he is out. I mean, they're sitting in fourth, but that was thanks to LaMelo. Now, I expect the slide from the Hornets. You got the Hawks sitting in fifth. They have made a crazy rise since they had the coaching change. And so, Hawks are interesting. Young team. Trae Young can get hot at any time and carry them.
He can, yeah.
Now, they had a severe injury with John Collins, which is going to hurt them because he was their inside presence. He's out for 3 weeks. I think he broke his wrist. And so that's going to be an issue for the Hawks moving forward to kind of stay afloat as they head toward the stretch drive towards the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, we'll root for Milwaukee, but I just want to see if they have what it takes, but we'll see. All right, Z, let's close the show out with bets, man. I mean, like I said before when I started the show, guys, I mean, you guys got to take a look at these games, man. Like when we give them to you, like I gave you two big, huge cash bets. I mean, they covered the spread. They won the money line. I mean, what do you want? You know what I mean? So I'm a big Bucks fan when it comes to the betting thing. Z, what do you got? What are you looking at as far as bets?
Again, the Houston fade worked again.
That's always in effect.
Yeah,
huh?
So Celtics were minus 11, and they won the game by 23. And so,
oh my God, 23.
That is going to be so actually no 118-102.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, still
a 16-point victory. They were laying 11, and so that's another. I'm still sticking with that Houston fading the Rockets is my recommendation. So if you look at, just pay attention to that Rocket schedule. As you can see, the differences between us, I like fading the bad teams.
Hey, whatever wins you the money, you know what I mean? Like I said, I know I'm winning, and I know you winning. So like, it's just whatever gets you the money.
Everybody, as long as we end up at the same point, just everybody has their own strategy.
Yeah.
And my strategy has been fading the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
Which has been beautiful. So as we look at the Rockets, wow. So they won one game last month.
Wow, a whole month. That's ridiculous, man.
And so moving forward. So next game they play Oklahoma. Oh no, postponed. So so hold on, let's go on. So their next opponent is Sunday. They got New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, last game, New Orleans, Ingram and Zion both rested. Ball rested as well. And they're all going to be back for that Houston game on Sunday. So that's a target. New Orleans over Houston. Then Houston has a back-to-back on Monday against Phoenix. So we will take Phoenix over Houston. And then Wednesday they go to Dallas, and I will take Dallas over Houston.
Right.
So you got 3 days, 3 games. Fade the Houston Rockets. Let's go.
Let's go, man. All right, staying on that, man. I mean, like I said, I love the Bucks. So without further ado, let me get to my Bucks bets. So I'm looking at the Bucks here, man. On looks like it is Tuesday night, the 6th. Tuesday the 6th. They're playing on the West Coast. They're staying on that West Coast trip. It's a 10 p.m. game. And one of the reasons why I like the Bucks on the West Coast is because they're a good team. They play defense. Defense travels. They're going in. They're going to be playing the Warriors. I don't know if Steph Curry is going to play. Even if he does, I'm not really worried about it because they're shorthanded and they have Kelly Oubre who puts up bricks. So, I mean, I like the Bucks money line in this one. I mean, it's yet to be seen what it's going to be, but I don't see it not being nothing crazy. I think it could be like, I'm willing to bet that anything up until like -6, -7, and then the money line is just the money line, taking them to win. So I like that. This is a little off the record for me. It's a sneaky bet. I like it. I don't love it. The Clippers that same night, Tuesday, the 6th, the Clippers money line over Trailblazers. I don't see that being a problem. And then moving on to Wednesday night, the night after, the 7th, there's some really, really solid games I really like. So you got the Brooklyn Nets that'll be playing the Pelicans. Pelicans are a decent squad, but I think Brooklyn just has a little too much for them, so I'm willing to take money line of points with that. I like that game, and then I guess, Z, I'm going to join you with this Houston Rockets fade because I'm definitely fading them that night when they play Luka and Dallas Mavericks. So, yeah. Yeah, man. So, I mean, we got some good bets, man. We're hot right now on the betting picks. So, you guys, make sure you're listening to these. And if you're winning them, I mean, let us know about it. If you're not winning them, which is not happening right now, we ain't going to hear too much from you. But anyway, all right, man. Good show, Z. But,
Alrighty.
All right, fellas. All right, for as always, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, YouTube page is up. Leave comments, 5-star ratings, and we'll see you next show. Take it easy, everybody.
Right. Thank you.